You Need a Budget by Jesse Mecham. Picture this for a second. You're 22, newly married, and living on love in a basement apartment so tiny you could touch both walls with your arms stretched out. You and your wife are both students, which means money is, well, let's just say it's not exactly flowing in. Julie, your wife, just landed a job paying $10.50 an hour, and honestly, you're grateful for every penny. But here's the thing about love. It doesn't pay the bills. It won't buy your textbooks, or that bus pass you desperately need because a car is completely out of the question. And now, there's a baby on the way. Your dream is for Julie to stay home with your child, but when you look at your bank account, that dream feels about as realistic as winning the lottery. This was Jesse Mecham's reality back in 2004. He was drowning, feeling like the weight of the world was crushing down on his shoulders. But instead of giving up, he did something remarkable. He opened up a simple Excel spreadsheet, and in that spreadsheet he didn't just track where his money went. He designed a completely new future. He created a system born from pure necessity, one that would help him and Julie not just scrape by, but actually thrive on their tiny income. They'd pay their bills, go on date nights, and work toward becoming a single-income family. He called it You Need a Budget, or YNAB for short. What started as one desperate guy trying to stretch a few $100s has exploded into a worldwide movement, an award-winning platform that's helped hundreds of thousands of people escape the exhausting cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. What I'm about to share with you isn't just another finance book summary. It's a completely different way of thinking about money. This isn't about deprivation or boring spreadsheets or feeling guilty every time you grab a coffee. This is about freedom. This is about finally taking control. Here's my promise. By the time we're done, you'll understand 4 simple rules that can eliminate money stress from your life forever. You'll see that a budget isn't a prison that traps you, but actually the key that unlocks the door to the life you really want. So get comfortable, and let's dive into how to master your money so you can start mastering your life. Let's start with a feeling we've all experienced. It's that quiet, nagging little voice in the back of your head. You're standing in line to buy a sandwich, and suddenly you remember the perfectly good food sitting in your fridge at home. I really should have just packed a lunch, you mutter to yourself. You scroll through social media and see a friend posting photos from an incredible vacation, and this little wave of anxiety washes over you. Should I be saving for something like that? Or maybe it's bigger than that. You hear people talking about retirement savings or the rising cost of college, and your chest gets tight. These little moments of stress, these tiny daggers of doubt, all come down to 2 paralyzing questions. Can I afford this? And its evil twin, should I do this? We spend so much mental energy haunted by these questions. We wonder if we're making smart choices, if we're keeping up, if we're doing it right. And more often than not, the sheer overwhelm of it all just freezes us in place. We feel paralyzed by all the options, too scared to even look at our bank statements, and so we just do nothing. The money comes in, the money goes out, and we float along, hoping that somehow, someday, things will magically fall into place. This is where Jesse Mecham steps in with advice so simple, so profound, it can snap you out of any financial fog you're stuck in. He says, forget about the money. Seriously, because it's not really about the money. The stress, the anxiety, the paralysis, none of that is actually about dollars and cents. It's about something deeper. It's about the gap between the life we're living and the life we want to be living. So he suggests we throw out those old questions. Forget can I and should I. Instead, ask yourself one powerful, life-changing question. What do I want my money to do for me? This isn't some pie-in-the-sky wish list exercise. This is about defining your real priorities. It's about deciding what kind of life you actually want to live, and then creating a plan to make your money work toward getting you there. Do you want to travel the world? Be completely debt-free? Have the peace of mind that comes from knowing all your bills are paid without breaking a sweat. When you know the answer to that question, suddenly all those thousands of tiny financial decisions you make every single day become crystal clear. The anxiety melts away, replaced by confidence and purpose. And what's the tool that turns this question into reality? It's a word that might make you want to run for the hills. A word many of us associate with restriction, with boring spreadsheets, with everything we can't have. That word is budget. But hold on, this isn't the kind of budget you've tried before. This isn't about forecasting and guessing what money you might have in the future and what you might spend. That's just wishful thinking. This is about looking at the actual money you have right here, right now, and creating a concrete plan for it based on what matters most to you. It's the difference between daydreaming about a better life and actively building one. This entire philosophy rests on 4 simple, elegant rules. These aren't complicated financial formulas or insider secrets. They're a new mindset, a fresh way to see your money that works for everyone, whether you're rolling in cash or scraping by, whether you're fresh out of college or heading into retirement. Let's walk through them together. Rule 1: give every dollar a job. This is where everything begins. It sounds almost too simple, right? You look at the money sitting in your bank account right now, not the money you hope to get next week or next month, just what you have today. And you give every single one of those dollars a specific job. You're the boss. Those dollars are your employees. And you need to tell them exactly what to do before they just wander off and get spent on random stuff you don't even care about. Think of it like writing a to-do list for your money. What does this money need to accomplish before your next paycheck arrives? First, you cover your immediate obligations. Keeping a roof over your head, food in the fridge, the essential bills that keep the lights on. This is survival mode. Once those jobs are assigned, you can breathe easier. The foundation is solid. Then comes the fun part. With whatever money is left over, you start funding your priorities. The things that answer that big question, what do I want my money to do for me? Let's make this real with an example. Imagine you've got $400 in your checking account. Your $50 cell phone bill is due, along with your $100 cable bill. So you assign $150 of those dollars the job of, quote, paying bills. They now have a clear purpose. You've also got a date tonight. You're cooking for someone special and need groceries. You assign another $100 the job of impressive date night dinner. That leaves you with $150. Things are looking pretty good. Oh, and your brother's birthday party is tomorrow night. Perfect. But wait, in the back of your mind, another priority starts nagging at you. You've been telling yourself for months that you want to pay down your credit card debt. And that bill is due next week. Suddenly that $150 doesn't feel like bonus money anymore. It feels tight. This is a critical moment. That feeling of scarcity isn't a sign that budgeting is failing you. It's actually a sign that it's working. For the first time, you're seeing your money for what it really is, a limited resource. And when you truly see that your resources are limited, you start making way better decisions. You realize that every single choice is a trade-off. A fancy steak dinner for your date might mean missing your debt payment goal. Spending too much at your brother's party might mean you don't have enough for groceries next week. So you make a new plan. You get intentional. Instead of steak, you decide to make a delicious roast chicken. You decide before heading to your brother's birthday exactly how much you'll spend, and you stick to it. Why? Because you know that the extra money you save isn't just being cheap. It's actively moving you closer to your goal of being debt-free. And that goal means more to you than another round of drinks. You've just experienced the magic of Rule 1. You didn't let your money just disappear. You directed it with purpose. You aligned your spending with what actually matters to you. Rule 2. Embrace your true expenses. Now, if Rule 1 is all about managing the here and now, Rule 2 is about looking ahead and eliminating those financial surprises that always seem to throw us off track. We've all had those crazy months, right? The month where the car insurance bill suddenly appears out of nowhere. The month with 3 birthdays, a wedding, and your mom's anniversary gift to buy. The month the dog gets sick and needs an emergency vet visit. We tell ourselves, it was just a weird month. Next month will be back to normal. But here's the secret. There are no normal months. Life is just a constant stream of these so-called surprises. The thing is, they aren't really surprises at all. You know your car insurance comes due every 6 months. You know the holidays roll around every December without fail. You know that if you own a car, eventually something will break. These are your true expenses. They're all the real costs of living your life, not just the ones that show up on your doorstep every single month. And the key to mastering them is to stop treating them like emergencies and start treating them like the regular, predictable expenses they actually are. This is the heart of Rule 2. You take those big, infrequent expenses and break them down into small, totally manageable monthly chunks. Imagine your car insurance is $600 every 6 months. Instead of having a mini panic attack when the bill arrives, what if you gave $100 the job of car insurance every single month? When that bill finally shows up, the $600 is just sitting there, waiting and ready. There's no stress, no drama. You just pay it and move on with your life. This simple shift is completely transformative. It works for predictable expenses, like annual subscriptions or holiday shopping. And it works for the unpredictable stuff too, like home repairs or medical bills. You might not know exactly when your roof will leak or how much it'll cost, but you know it'll eventually cost more than zero. So you create a home maintenance category and drop a little money into it every month. When the leak happens, it's not a crisis. It's just an expense you've already prepared for. Rule 2 is also your secret weapon for achieving your biggest dreams. A $10,000 goal, like paying off a credit card or saving for a down payment on a house, can feel like climbing Mount Everest. It's overwhelming. But what if you break that mountain down into a series of small, manageable hills? Suddenly, that intimidating goal becomes a simple plan. Save a few $100s every month. That's actually achievable. That's empowering. This is exactly what happened for Matt and Allie. They got invited to a destination wedding 6 months away. Matt estimated the trip would cost about $1,000. Instead of stressing about it, they created a wedding trip category and put about $167 into it each month. 6 months later, when it was time to book flights and the hotel, the money was just there, waiting. Allie was completely amazed. It was painless. She saw the power of Rule 2 in action, and she was absolutely hooked. When you embrace your true expenses, you're essentially sending money ahead to your future self. You're taking care of future you, making sure that when life happens, and it will, you're not just ready, you're actually relaxed. The whole idea of an emergency fund starts to fade away because fewer and fewer things feel like emergencies. You've already planned for them. Rule 3, roll with the punches. This might be the most important rule of all because it's the one that gives you permission to be wonderfully, beautifully human. So many people try budgeting and create this perfect, pristine plan in their spreadsheet. Then real life barges in. They overspend on groceries. A friend calls with a last-minute invitation to an amazing concert. Their car gets a flat tire. And what happens? They feel like complete failures. They think, see, I'm just not good at this budgeting thing, and they quit entirely. This is what I call the perfection trap, and Rule 3 is your escape hatch. Rule 3 says roll with the punches. Your budget isn't some rigid, unchangeable law carved in stone tablets. It's a flexible plan. And because life is constantly changing and throwing curveballs, your budget has to change with it. Let me say that again because it's a genuinely radical idea for most of us. You have to change your budget if you want to stick with it. Changing your budget isn't failing, it's adapting. In fact, it's the moment you're being most accountable. Here's why. Let's say you budgeted $400 for groceries, but you ended up spending $500. You didn't fail at budgeting. You just got new information. Now you have to make a choice. That extra $100 has to come from somewhere else. It doesn't magically materialize out of thin air. This is where you look at your other categories, your other priorities. Maybe you decide to take that $100 from your vacation savings fund. That act of physically moving the money is you in real time, living with the consequences of your decision. You're acknowledging the trade-off. More groceries this month means you're now $100 further away from your vacation goal. That's not failure. That's accountability in its purest, most honest form. Life is messy and unpredictable. A plan is just a starting point. Think of a basketball coach at halftime. If their game plan isn't working, they don't just stubbornly stick with it and hope for a miracle. They make adjustments. They adapt their strategy based on what's actually happening on the court. Your budget is your financial game plan, and you're the coach. This rule literally saved Tracy and Dan's financial life. They'd been budgeting diligently, saving up a comfortable emergency fund. Then the unexpected slammed into them. Tracy got laid off from her job, cutting their household income by 40% overnight. It was absolutely devastating. But instead of panicking and freezing up, they sat down with their budget. They looked at their new reality and made a fresh plan. They stopped their aggressive savings transfers. They cut their personal spending money in half. They sold Tracy's car since they could get by with just one. They made small cuts across several categories so no single area felt like a massive, painful shock. Because they were used to living below their means and because they had a flexible plan they could adapt, they got through that job loss without ever once dipping into their emergency savings. They rolled with the biggest punch of their marriage and came out even stronger on the other side. Rule 3 is what makes this entire system sustainable long term. It gives you the flexibility to handle absolutely anything life throws at you, without the crushing guilt and without the shame. It transforms your budget from a rigid cage into a living, breathing tool that actually serves you. Rule 4, age your money. This is the final piece of the puzzle. This is where true financial peace of mind actually lives. Rule 4 is the ultimate goal: age your money. What does that even mean? Think of a massive grain silo on a farm. Fresh grain gets poured in at the top, and the grain you use for food gets taken out from the bottom. The grain at the bottom is the oldest. If you're eating grain that was literally just harvested yesterday, you're living right on the edge. One bad harvest, one unexpected storm, and you could completely run out of food. But imagine you had such a large reserve built up in your silo that the grain you're eating today was actually harvested a month ago, or even 2 months ago. You've got a serious buffer, you've got security, you've got breathing room and options. Your money works exactly the same way. The age of your money is simply the time between when you earn a dollar and when you actually spend that dollar. If you get paid on Friday and use that money to buy groceries on Saturday, your money is exactly 1 day old. You're living paycheck to paycheck. You're constantly stuck on this exhausting treadmill of earning and paying, and it drains every ounce of mental energy you have. You spend your days juggling bills, carefully timing them to match your paychecks, and hoping desperately that nothing goes wrong. Rule 4 is all about breaking that exhausting cycle. The goal is to slowly, steadily build up a buffer of cash so that you're spending money you earned at least 30 days ago. When you reach this point, everything fundamentally changes. The constant background stress just melts away. You're no longer anxiously waiting with a stack of bills for money to arrive. You've got a stack of money calmly waiting for bills. You can confidently put all your bills on autopay with zero anxiety, because you know the money for the entire month is already sitting safely in your account before the month even begins. If a paycheck were to arrive late or not show up at all, it wouldn't trigger a crisis. You've got time. You've got breathing room. You've got options. This isn't some fantasy scenario reserved only for wealthy people. It's the completely natural result of consistently following the first 3 rules. Rule 1 forces you to be intentional, which naturally helps you spend less than you earn. Rule 2 gets you systematically saving for the future, so your money naturally sits in your account longer and gets older. And Rule 3 keeps you in the game, constantly adapting your plan instead of giving up in frustration so you can actually make real long-term progress. Look at Alex Hatzenbuehler's story. He was a recent college graduate landing his first full-time job. He had zero debt and always paid his credit cards on time. By every traditional measure, he was doing absolutely fine. But he felt this constant low-level anxiety gnawing at him. He was juggling 4 different credit cards and was genuinely scared to put them on autopay because he wasn't completely sure the money would be there when the bills hit. He was saving about 15% of his income, which is pretty good, but he felt deep down he could be doing so much better. Then he discovered these 4 rules. The very first thing he focused on was building up his 1-month buffer. He aged his money. That alone created this huge sense of relief. The constant stress of juggling bills just vanished into thin air. And with all that mental space suddenly freed up, he could see his finances with total clarity for the first time. He realized he was hemorrhaging money on eating out and buying tech gadgets he didn't actually need. He made small, simple changes. The result? In just the 6 months after implementing this system, Alex went from saving 15% of his income to saving an absolutely incredible 70%. He didn't get some massive promotion or win the lottery. He simply became aware of where his money was actually going and started directing it with real purpose. Now he's spending money that's more than 2 months old, and he says he never feels like he desperately needs his next paycheck. Of course he'll happily take it, but he's not relying on it just to survive day to day. That right there is the definition of true financial peace. The war on debt. Now, there's one specific area where Jesse Mecham's typically calm, gentle guidance transforms into an absolute fiery call to arms. And that area is debt. His message is crystal clear and totally uncompromising. Get rid of it, now. Most financial experts will tell you debt is bad because of all the interest you pay over time. And sure, that's absolutely true. But for Mecham, the real problem runs so much deeper than that. Debt, he says, is a thief. It severely restricts your cash flow and literally steals from your ability to fund your current priorities. It forces you to spend your hard-earned dollars today paying for choices you made months or years in the past. It chains you to yesterday, when all you really want to do is build your tomorrow. His mantra is something you should write down and tape to your bathroom mirror. Debt is not an option. When you truly internalize this belief, when you completely remove borrowing as a possible solution to your problems, you force yourself to become more creative, more resourceful, and ultimately more powerful. It was precisely this belief that pushed him to create YNAB in the first place. He flat out refused to borrow money, so he absolutely had to find another way forward. But how do you actually get out of debt once you're already buried in it? The strategy is surprisingly simple, but it requires one crucial first step. Before you throw every single extra dollar you have at your debt, you absolutely must first use Rule 2 to build up a small cushion for your true expenses. This sounds completely counterintuitive at first. Why on earth would you save money when you've got high-interest debt hanging over your head? Because if you don't create that buffer, the very first surprise expense, a flat tire, an urgent medical bill, will force you right back into debt, and you'll be trapped in this vicious, never-ending cycle. Rule 2 is your debt antidote. It protects you from the exact same things that caused your debt in the first place. Once you've got that small protective buffer in place, then you can attack your debt with absolutely ferocious intensity. Look at Mitchell Burton, who graduated from college staring down a truly staggering $104,000 in student loans. At first, he threw every single penny he could scrape together at those loans, leaving himself with absolutely no breathing room and feeling panicked and stressed all the time. It was only when he took a brief strategic pause from his aggressive payments to build a 1-month buffer to properly age his money that everything fundamentally shifted. The constant real-time stress just disappeared, and he suddenly had the mental clarity to focus on a much bigger solution, earning significantly more money. He switched jobs for a higher salary, he hustled and took on freelance work on the side. But here's the absolute key to his success. He kept living like he was still making his old, much smaller salary. He completely avoided lifestyle creep, that sneaky tendency to spend more just because you're earning more. Every single extra dollar he earned went straight to attacking his loans. His original goal was to be completely debt-free by age 30. He crushed it by age 27. This system gives you the practical framework to make huge, meaningful progress regardless of your current situation. It's all about combining genuinely smarter spending with a relentless, laser-focused commitment to your most important goals. A team sport, budgeting with a partner. Talking about money with a romantic partner can feel like carefully walking through an active minefield. It's so often a major source of stress, disagreement, and this weird unspoken anxiety that hangs in the air. But a shared budget, when you approach it with the right mindset and spirit, can completely transform money from a constant source of conflict into a powerful tool for building an incredible life together. The budget becomes this wonderfully neutral third party. The conversation suddenly isn't about my overspending or your massive debt. It's about our shared plan and our dreams for the future. The process starts with what Mecham lovingly calls Rule Zero, sitting down together and deciding what's truly most important to you as a couple. This is your very first budget date. And it actually shouldn't involve any numbers or spreadsheets at all. It's purely a conversation about dreams and values. Do you desperately want to save for a house together, travel to Fiji and live on the beach for a month, have the genuine freedom for one of you to switch careers or start a business? You're laying the solid foundation for your shared vision of the future. From there, you recognize that a couple's budget actually contains 3 distinct sets of priorities. Yours, mine, and ours. Ours covers the shared goals you both care about, like aggressively paying off debt or saving for that dream vacation. But it's equally critical to protect and respect yours and mine. This is where the beautiful concept of no questions asked, fun money comes into play. Even when they were completely broke students surviving on almost nothing, Jesse and Julie still budgeted $5 a month for each of them to spend on absolutely anything they wanted, with zero justification or explanation required. That tiny bit of personal freedom was exactly what kept them from feeling completely suffocated by their tight budget. It was the essential breathing room that made the whole system actually work long-term. By creating a truly shared plan together, you're not trying to control each other or keep score. You're actively empowering each other. You're working as a genuine team, making important decisions together, and celebrating all your progress and wins along the way. Passing the torch, teaching your kids. Finally, this journey of financial mastery isn't just something for you to benefit from personally. It's an invaluable gift you can pass along to the next generation. Teaching kids about money can feel really tricky and uncomfortable, but the core principles are exactly the same, just simplified and adjusted for their level. Jesse and his wife start giving their kids an allowance as young as 5 years old. And the absolute key, he emphasizes, is to let them learn by actually doing. That means letting them make mistakes. It means allowing them to completely waste their money on candy if that's what they choose, because they'll learn infinitely more from the genuine regret of a wasted dollar now than they ever will from a lengthy lecture about financial responsibility. He tells this great story about his oldest son, Porter, who at just 8 years old was given access to $100 in birthday money that had been carefully saved for him over several years. Jesse tried his best to explain what a truly big deal this was. Porter immediately knew exactly what he wanted, a leap pad, one of those early kids' tablets. Jesse had this strong gut feeling it was basically a piece of junk that Porter would get bored with almost immediately. He tried gently talking him out of it, but Porter was absolutely set on getting it. Jesse had to make a really tough parenting choice: control the situation and force the right decision, or step back and let his son learn from experience. He chose to let him learn. Porter bought the leap pad with his own money, and just as Jesse had suspected, he completely forgot about it within a couple of weeks. A few months later, Porter brought it up himself, totally unprompted. He said he genuinely felt like he'd wasted his money and really wished he had saved it for something more important and meaningful. Jesse didn't say, "I told you so." He didn't need to rub it in. The lesson was deeply learned, and it was a lesson that would influence Porter's financial decision-making for the rest of his entire life. $100 was actually a pretty small price to pay for that kind of lasting wisdom. Kids don't carry around all the heavy emotional baggage that we adults have developed around budgeting and money. They see it as this fun, interesting game of what do I want most. They intuitively grasp the basic concept of trade-offs without all the guilt and stress. And by teaching them these 4 beautifully simple rules early on, you're giving them a practical framework for a lifetime of smart, confident, and genuinely stress-free financial decisions. Look at Anna Dale, the 17-year-old daughter of a dedicated YNAB user. She works at a local movie theater and has been actively budgeting her own money since she was just 15. Her parents noticed she had several $1,000s sitting in her bank account. One evening, she came home from the mall after hanging out with her friends and hadn't bought a single thing. When her dad curiously asked why, her answer was really telling and impressive. She didn't say, "I didn't see anything I liked." She very specifically said, "I don't have money available for shopping right now." Her money already had other, more important jobs to do. It was being carefully saved for concert tickets to see her absolute favorite K-pop bands, for travel expenses to actually get to those concerts, and for Korean language lessons to help prepare for her ultimate dream of attending art school in Korea. The cheap, trendy clothes at the mall simply couldn't compete with those deeply meaningful priorities. She had already clearly decided what she wanted her money to do for her. And at just 17 years old, she was already confidently living a genuinely intentional life. That right there is the incredible power of this system. It starts with one simple question and naturally unfolds into a life filled with real purpose and direction. It's not just about getting out of debt faster or saving a bit more money each month. It's fundamentally about closing that painful gap between the life you're currently living and the life you genuinely want to be living. It's about being the boss of your own financial destiny. It's about actively designing your future, one intentional dollar at a time. As we bring this journey to a close, I want to step back for a moment and reflect on what I genuinely believe is the most powerful transformative lesson from Jesse Mecham's work. It's incredibly easy to get caught up in all the specific rules, the detailed categories, and the actual software mechanics. But the real transformation, the deep magic at the heart of this book, isn't really about the technical mechanics of budgeting at all. It's about a fundamental, life-changing shift in your entire relationship with money, and, by natural extension, with yourself. For most of us, money is purely a source of reactive emotion. We react with fear and panic when a big, unexpected bill arrives in the mail. We react with guilt and shame when we spend money on something we actually enjoy. We react with deep anxiety when we let ourselves think about the uncertain future. Our entire financial life becomes this exhausting, constant series of defensive moves, desperately trying to plug leaks and frantically put out fires. What You Need a Budget truly offers is a profound shift from being constantly reactive to being genuinely proactive. It completely transforms money from this adversary you constantly have to fight and defend against into a valuable resource you actually get to direct with intention and purpose. That single powerful question, "What do I want my money to do for me?" genuinely changes everything at a fundamental level. It's no longer about obsessing over what you can't have or shouldn't buy. It's about consciously choosing what you actually want to have. It puts you firmly back in the driver's seat of your own life. The second profound insight is the complete redefinition of what failure actually means. In traditional, old-school budgeting approaches, overspending in even one category feels like getting a failing grade on a test. You broke the sacred rule, you totally messed up, you're obviously just bad with money and always will be. This system brilliantly reframes that entire moment. Rolling with the punches isn't just a cute, catchy phrase. It's a deep philosophical truth about how life actually works. It clearly says that life is inherently messy and wildly unpredictable, and a truly successful plan isn't one that never changes or bends. It's one that's resilient and flexible enough to adapt to whatever reality throws at you. When you consciously move money from your vacation fund to cover an unexpected car repair, you absolutely haven't failed at budgeting, you have successfully navigated real life. This simple reframing removes all the toxic shame and replaces it with genuine empowerment, which is absolutely the key to sticking with any kind of positive change long term. So where do you go from here? The absolute beauty of this system is that you don't need to wait for the perfect moment or until you feel completely ready. You can start right now, today, with 3 beautifully simple actions. First, take just 10 minutes today, literally just 10 minutes, and answer that central, powerful question for yourself. Grab a piece of paper or open a note on your phone and write at the very top, "What do I want my money to do for me?" Don't get bogged down thinking about actual numbers or whether it's realistic. Just let yourself dream. Write down what a life genuinely free from constant money stress would actually look like for you. This becomes your North Star, your guiding light. Second, open your banking app right this second. Look at your actual current balance. Don't judge it as good or bad, just see it clearly and honestly. And then, using that dream list you just created, start giving those real dollars specific jobs to do. Even if you only have $20 sitting there right now, give them a clear purpose. Maybe $10 gets the job of lunch for tomorrow, and the other 10 gets the meaningful job of first dollar toward my future dream trip. You have just taken your very first concrete step from being completely passive to being the actual boss of your money. And third, pick just one single true expense that you know for certain is coming at some point in your future. It could be holiday gifts coming up, your own next birthday celebration, or an annual subscription renewal. Create a specific place for it. Maybe a separate savings account, an old-fashioned envelope with cash, or just a clear note in your budgeting app, and commit to putting a single dollar toward it today. That small but powerful act of actively planning for your future self is a genuine declaration that you are finally taking control. That was a deep dive into Jesse Mecham's You Need a Budget. We've explored all the core ideas and principles today, but honestly, a summary is a bit like looking at a photograph of a beautiful landscape. The real magic and transformation happens when you actually walk through it yourself, experiencing every detail firsthand. The actual book is filled with personal stories, detailed real-world examples, and a warmth and encouragement that can only truly be experienced by reading it yourself. This summary is specifically designed to help you decide if this particular path is one you want to walk down. If any of the ideas we've discussed today sparked even a tiny bit of excitement or hope in you, I genuinely encourage you to grab your own copy. Reading it isn't just about learning a new technical skill. It's an experience that can genuinely change how you see your money, your future, and even yourself. You can find a direct link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable and helpful on your own personal journey, please take just a quick moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me know that we're on the right track together, and it ensures you won't miss our next exploration into another potentially life-changing book. Let's keep growing and learning together.